Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, Signing Day Special, brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I'm Mark Givler, Kevin in with me here as we go through each player that signs with Ohio State today for the class of 2025, do our 10-minute little breakdowns, recaps of every player. So we're going to continue that here. We have a wide receiver prospect that I think we'll have a little fun talking about because this was one that there wasn't a lot of buildup. We knew Ohio State had offered him, and we knew he was on the board. And he came in for a spring visit, and he pulled the trigger, and everyone was like, "Oh wow, that happened fast. That escalated quickly." And that was Dez Jones, 4-star wide receiver out of DePaul Catholic in Wayne, New Jersey. That's a school Ohio State has recruited over the years. Rocket Hickman from there, obviously, in terms of a recent player that the Buckeyes landed from there. So there's a familiarity with that program. Dez Jones is an interesting player. He's very athletic. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds, super athletic. Had a lot of East Coast, like the names you would expect on the East Coast to be involved were involved. You had Rutgers, you had Penn State, but you also had programs like Florida, Nebraska. So Texas was involved. So there were a lot of schools, really a national mix of schools involved for Dez Jones. And the Buckeyes, again, he came in. We knew who he was. We knew he had an offer. We didn't have much indication that things were trending close to any type of commitment. And sure enough, he made that spring visit, and that was that. And Buckeyes able to hold on to him, and they got the signature today. So Kevin, just your thoughts on just how this one played out. Again, I think we were all like, whoa, wait a minute. That wasn't like, we had a few guys like during that spring, like, oh, this guy could commit, this guy commit. That wasn't really like this is a business trip. This could be a commitment.
Yeah. A lot of times we may have the inner workings of a story half written or whatever. That was not the case on this one. Ohio State's certainly looking for somebody that probably fits in the slot and, had a decommitment earlier in the cycle, and then Dez Jones kind of fits the bill for them. And it was one of these things of, even after he committed, I had an East Coast guy that I talked to for recruiting. He's like, I don't know if that one's going to stick. I'm like, why? Not because the kid's not good enough. He's like, no, it's not. The kid's plenty good, but I just don't think it's going to stick. I think he'll want to come closer to home. Well, here we are, fast forward to signing day. I never heard a word about him being uncomfortable with this or wanting to look around or shopping for other offers or anything like that. So it just goes to show that sometimes even the most learned people don't necessarily have every situation on lockdown. But Brian Hartline once again does it again, and brings in somebody who, I always get a little concerned when you get into somebody who might be the size of like a Mookie Cooper, but Dez Jones is bigger than Mookie Cooper. And kind of with where the offense has evolved to, I think that they can do a little bit of a better job with inside guys than maybe where they were, I don't know, let's say 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, and this was a good, East Coast class. They were able to get some guys out of Maryland, out of New Jersey. It felt like, the Atlantic East has been good to Ohio State, really probably going back. Even, Tressel was able to pluck some guys out of New Jersey as well. But really the Urban Meyer era sort of took things off in the Atlantic East. So this was good to get back to those roots as well. Get a couple guys from New Jersey, get a few guys from Maryland, a couple from Philly. So they did a really good job on the East Coast this year. And again, guys who people are like, well, are they going to stick? Are they going to flip to Penn State? Are they going to flip, even stay at home, flip to Rutgers or Maryland, or go to an Alabama or something? And no, Ohio State was able to really keep those recruitments pretty, keep the lid on those pretty good. So let's run to the tape here and just let some people get familiar with Dez Jones, who, again, is a very athletic kid. I think probably, as Kevin mentioned, probably a slot guy. Super, super quick. We talk about some of these bigger outside receivers, and we get excited about those guys, a Quincy Porter, or even a Phillip Bell, who probably isn't much taller than Dez, but is a much more filled out player. But I think in terms of just like their feet, I think Dez Jones probably has the quickest feet of any player in this Ohio State receiver class. He can absolutely start and stop on a dime. Just a tremendous route runner from the slot, and just is able to create separation so easily with that quickness. And again, I think Phillip Bell is a guy who probably can play anywhere in the receiver room, can play inside or outside. I think Quincy Porter's an outside guy. And then I think you have Dez Jones, who complements those guys in terms of being likely a pure slot guy, though I'm sure they will ultimately cross-train guys everywhere. I think he is best served in the slot, where he can utilize that quick twitch ability to create the separation. So really impressive athlete, and another guy, another weapon for Brian Hartline, right?
Yeah, and you're sitting here and watching the tape once again. I mean, he runs some pretty crisp routes. I mean, we'll see what that looks like at the college level, but being able to, just immediately get right over to Dez Jones, who, as you said, had the offer list, not just necessarily the East Coast offer list, but was starting to get the national offer list. And I guarantee you that offer list would have grown if he would have stayed uncommitted longer. I mean, and you have some kids out there that may chase offers. Dez Jones just wanted to get to the school that was right for him, and fortunately for Ohio State was the right place for him. But I think that you look at the wave of receivers that are coming in for this next class as Ohio State looks to fill out its numbers a little bit more. Jaden Ballard has entered the portal as of this week, so that's one receiver that's gone. So you look at some of these things, and it got to a point of where I think a lot of people would be like, well, we know what they have in Jeremiah and Emeka and Carnell. And then, is there a big drop off? And I don't feel with Brandon Ennis and some of these other younger guys and everything else that they have there. But now you have more bodies in there that are able to do various things. And, I still expect to see, Jeremiah Smith get targeted next year a dozen times a game. But, it'll be nice to have some younger guys that can kind of allow them to roll and rotate a little bit more, because you're going to have to you got to keep the churn going. You just cannot get to the point of where you fall in love with two or three receivers and you ride with them all the way through. That just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I'd like to see Ohio State even now, maybe have a little bit of a deeper rotation just to try and give guys a little bit more of a rest after running a long, complex route.
Yeah, I think they've brought in some guys in this class who I think can instantly give them some quality playable depth. With Dez specifically, not so much about his readiness as much as it is, Brandon Ennis back, Bryson Rogers, we assume back. I'm sure Ohio State hopes is back. There's no reason to think he won't be. Those are two guys who might maybe block the path as a true freshman. But I think Dez Jones is a guy who could be a second or third year breakout player after some time in the weight room. He does need to get stronger. He's not coming in as physically imposing as guys like Phillip Bell or Quincy Porter. So he is going to need, I think, to hit the weights and get up to 185, 190. You have to be strong to play in the slot. I know everyone's got this mindset everyone's got this picture in their head of like the little guy in the slot. But it's like, well, a lot of those little guys are really strongly built. That's how you have to have that center of gravity and that lower body strength to make those cuts and take the contact you're going to take. So, a little bit of weight room work there from Dez Jones, but again, another guy I like the long-term outlook for, and another guy who, again, we talk about the pieces fitting together. I think he has his own role in this class that maybe some of the others in this class can't play in terms of being pure slot guys. I think he meshes well with what they've brought in this class, meshes well with what the makeup of the roster is. And so I think that there will be opportunities for him, fairly early in his career if he wants to take those opportunities. But again, just a little work in the weight room, get a little stronger, a little bigger, and learn from the Brandon Ennis's of the world for a year or two, and then should be his time to go at that point. But another exciting pickup on the East Coast for the Buckeyes as he has signed, and the North Jersey to Ohio State little mini pipeline they've had going there over the years continues. So appreciate everyone watching and listening. We will continue with these throughout the day here on youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. And go ahead and check us out at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Once again, we are doing a $4.99 first month special. Less than a drink at Starbucks. Just cut one day of Starbucks out a month, and you can get a month of our premium content, our inside information, our on recruiting on the team, lot to talk about right now with the playoff coming up. Winter practices will be getting going. Transfer portal. So it's a great time to sign up at BuckeyeHuddle.com if you're not already. But we appreciate everyone watching and listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.